Hello, my name is Michael Duran, and this is Hannah Duran, and together we are the Disney Durans, and we've got another review for you today. Why don't you tell them what we are reviewing?
Sure. So we are reviewing the Aristocats for you guys today. Big thank you to our friend Amanda for requesting today's video topic. If you would like to request a video topic, go ahead and comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video while you're there.
And follow our Instagram as well.
Yeah, linked down below. Are you excited?
I am excited to do this one. So when we first decided to review this one, I was kind of thinking I was going to be able to finally tear a movie apart. And that's not going to be the case.
You know, with Disney, it is hard. They just make a lot of masterpieces. There are I'd say there's some negatives in this one.
For sure.
Compared to some of the other ones, but I don't dislike this movie by any means, so it's going to be a good one to review.
It's been a minute since I've seen it, so I didn't necessarily have the fondest memories of it, but I am glad to say I'm going to have quite a bit of positive things to say.
Yeah, definitely. I think rewatching it, we both were giggling and really enjoying a lot of the comic reliefs and kind of the side characters. So let's dive right on it. So this movie was released in Christmas Eve of 1970. And that explains a lot looking back, because the music I know it's very like kind of jazz, but they definitely have a disco vibe in there. And so it makes sense that this is a 70s movie.
Especially in a certain musical number, it's just flashing different colors.
Yeah, it's like disco lights. I'm like, okay, all right, that made sense. I thought about it. I was like, this has to be 70s, and I knew it was that air. So yeah, that's great. So some fun facts about this film that you want to talk about.
Yeah, so this is the last movie that the Sherman Brothers worked on. They are this brother duo that wrote a ton of classic Disney songs. This is the last this is the last one they worked on, because they were kind of getting sick of how the company was doing things, since they're cutting a lot of corners, trying to make everything cheaper, and they did not like it. And it was actually a pretty successful film.
It was, yeah, especially in France, which makes sense, because if you haven't seen it or need a refresher, it's set very much in a France and Parisian culture.
Yeah.
Even the characters, all the names are, if they're not a French poet, they're a French composer, there's something. Berlioz, Toulouse, Napoleon, come on. So
Lafayette.
Lafayette, yes. So most of the characters, if you know a little bit about history or that culture, you get that. I never got it as a kid. So I haven't seen this in so long.
Yeah.
Rewatching it, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I got a lot more of the little things.
Absolutely. What do you think the animation for this movie?
Sloppy at best. Yeah. It's just a scratchier look, because it's a faster way to produce movies, make movies, and that makes sense why they transitioned into this. But if you look at movies that come in, like the following decade in the 80s, like The Little Mermaid was made in the 80s, it's so much cleaner. The lines are so much more crisp. And the only reason I think this movie gets away with this animation is because it's set in that Parisian culture where everything kind of almost looks like a painting, and that Monet kind of like just style, to where doesn't have to be clean lines.
Well, all the backgrounds look like paintings.
Yeah, exactly. So I will say I dislike this animation, and most movies like 101 Dalmatians that has the same, correct me if I'm wrong, animation. It's just scratchy and sloppy looking. It's
kind of like 101 Dalmatians, Robin Hood, those kind of movies. They all have the same look, and it's not pretty.
It's not, and I think this one gets away with it most because it's set in that almost painter-esque,
It definitely works. So like the sketchiness of it all kind of flows together.
Right, exactly. It's a style.
Yes. Some of the character designs are so fun. Like, the kittens are adorable.
The cats are attractive. Thomas O'Malley. I have a lot of crushes on cartoon characters, is what you're going to learn from this channel.
If you're not crushing on Thomas O'Malley, you're a fool. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. O'Malley, though.
We need to move on. Okay, so let's just talk about the plot for a minute. It's a fun plot, so...
Yeah, for sure. So, if you need a refresher, like we definitely did, I feel like it's been forever since I've watched this movie. The premise is she's a bachelorette that owns these cats, is getting older and worried about her estate. She's really wealthy and wants to kind of ridiculously leave her estate to her cats. But obviously cats don't live nearly as long as humans, and can't manage finances. So her backup is the butler, Edgar, which basically to me means that Edgar gets the estate, because it's not like cats are after this money or know what the concept of an estate is.
Yeah.
So Edgar stupidly thinks he needs to now take out 4 cats. And he mainly just wants to ditch the cats more, I think, than he wants to murder them. But he brings them out and leaves them, and then thinks that, okay, he's done his deed. Well, and then Thomas O'Malley comes and they start their journey back home, basically, is the whole movie's plot. On their journey, you meet some fun geese and some scat cats. And Michael and I were talking that the supporting roles are kind of the star roles of this, and we'll get into that into characters in a minute. But anyway, O'Malley leads them back, and that's when they realize that Edgar had done this to them and that he was still after them. He tries to ship them to Timbuktu, but they all team up with the horse and the cats, and they basically ship him to Timbuktu, so they maybe murder him. We'll see. I have no idea how that ends. He leaves in a box is how that ends. And then, of course, Madame adopts not just O'Malley, but then starts a rescue for stray cats in Paris, which sounds like a financial burden in its own, not to mention the litter boxes.
It sounds smelly.
It sounds a little
ridden.
It sounds a little crazy, but yeah, that's the plot, and they all live happily ever after.
It's the characters, I think, that really carries this movie.
Yeah, I think
so. Let's talk about those right now.
Okay, so like, who's your top? Like, let's just be like, who's your favorite character?
It might be Lafayette and Napoleon.
I agree, totally.
Okay.
So they're like this. We haven't talked about them yet. So tell us who they are.
So they're these dogs that basically Edgar kind of comes across when he's trying to dump the cats.
Sure.
But their whole life is chasing the cars or the pedestrians that walk by. That's their life.
Yeah.
And so like they hear him coming and they're just like talking like, oh, we got one. Let's go. And so
not just talking, they're like, he's wearing Oxford shoes. He's got a hole in the left sole. Like, they're so funny.
Now we got to talk about the main characters like Thomas O'Malley. What do you think about Thomas O'Malley?
I mean, we touched on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he's adorable. I think he's a schmoozer.
Mm-hmm. Womanizer.
A little bit. He's after Duchess. Totally just trying to get with that. And the kittens are a bonus. But he's definitely takes on that father role, and he's super cute. And I'm a sucker for a ginger kitty. If you're a cat person, you're gonna kind of like this movie because they're just kind of cute.
They're really cute. So we got Duchess, this is big fluffy white cat.
She's so
very
elegant.
pretty. Yeah, just an elegant cat.
Yeah.
And her adorable kittens. You touched on them a little bit. Marie, Berlioz, and Toulouse.
What's your favorite out of them?
Toulouse.
Which is the orange. Yes.
Yeah.
Toulouse is my favorite.
He's sassy.
Too. I like because he's always like spitting, which is gross, but like he's just trying to be a street cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when O'Malley comes around, he is like, that's who I want to be.
Yeah, it's really cute. I like Toulouse is my favorite too.
And then Marie shamelessly hitting on O'Malley.
Yeah.
She's trying to steal him away from her mom. She's like, O'Malley.
Do my eyes sparkle like sapphires? It was funny. No, it's really cute. So speaking of hitting on it, there's some innuendo. Not even innuendos, blatant like sexual content in this, in lyrics of a song. And we were both watching. Go listen to like the big scene with the scat cats and listen to the harp solo. Put the subtitles on, and we both looked at each other like,
alrighty.
That made the final cut. What about the main villain? What about Edgar?
So Edgar, I mean, he's a bumbling fool.
Yeah.
Kind of
nothing menacing about this man.
No, but it doesn't really need a strong, intimidating villain for this movie. So he does the part.
It's a fun time-having movie. It's not taking itself seriously enough to the point that it breaks the fourth wall. It's a little meta at points. And so when a movie does that, you know that it's not like necessarily taking itself that seriously. Yeah. And I like that. Sometimes you just want to have a fun time. You don't need a Maleficent in every movie.
You don't
need it in every movie.
Yeah, Edgar, I think, does just fine for what he is.
I agree. Talk about the geese.
That's what I was just leading into. Yeah.
Abigail, Amelia, and
Waldo. Uncle Waldo. Uncle Waldo is a slob.
There's
a
lot
slob kebab.
Let's talk about other like inappropriate topics to be in a children's movie. There's a lot of drunkenness and alcohol in this movie.
And Waldo is the worst.
Yeah, he's a drunk slob.
We should talk about the sister geese. They are hilarious.
Yeah, they make their debut because O'Malley finds himself in the river after trying to save Marie and is like practically drowning. And they basically, drowned him more. They like help him drown because they're like, oh, we need to teach him how to swim. And there's a gaggle of geese. They're really funny.
Yeah. And I just wanted to really quickly touch on how accurately I think they portrayed siblings with the kittens.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like the brothers are just bagging on Marie constantly.
Mm-hmm. No concern. She almost drowns and they're like, way to go falling. I'm like, that's typical brother behavior.
I think the characters are clearly the best part of the film.
And I like the mouse.
Oh, Rockford.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like when he gets hit by the cork and is like, he got me. He's very dramatic.
He's very dramatic. And kind of Disney royalty, so let's segue right into the cast.
Yeah, so do you want to talk about the cast?
Yeah, we've actually got a pretty stacked cast.
Yeah.
As far as Disney voices.
They're Disney legends.
So Duchess is voiced by Ava Gabor, and she also voiced Bianca in The Rescuers.
Both Rescuers.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's a good resume.
Thomas O'Malley is a very recognizable voice.
Oh, yeah.
You might know him as Baloo the Bear in The Jungle Book and another bear, Little John in Robin Hood.
Yeah.
And then we've also got Pat Buttram, who plays one of my favorite characters, Napoleon, and he's got quite the resume. He's the Sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood and Chief in The Fox and the Hound.
Very nice. I love Chief.
I love Chief too.
I love Fox and the Hound. We gotta do that one soon.
We do. Upcoming. Rockford the Mouse was Sterling Holloway, and he was a ton. He was the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland. He's Kaa in The Jungle Book, and he voiced Pooh for many years.
Like shows even, right?
Yeah.
He was Pooh Bear up until, I think, his final days.
Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah, he was also actually a lot of the narrators for some of the Disney shorts, like Peter and the Wolf and Mickey and the Beanstalk.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so he's got quite the resume. And then a lot of the other supporting cast that were only in basically some other small Disney roles. Like there was a lot of small Robin Hood roles also played by some of the cast.
Yeah, and we talked, I can't remember now, but we talked about who played Waldo, and I know that was his final role. He was a Disney legend. But really good cast. Stacked cast. Music.
There's some good stuff.
There's some, yeah. It's not a lot going on. I think I like first song in the beginning on the piano is my favorite.
Scales and Arpeggios?
Yeah.
That one's fun. The little cats are basically just playing piano, learning their daily piano lesson.
Yeah.
And then it's just a fun little song.
It's really cute.
Yeah.
I like it best.
And then, I mean, the real banger here, though.
Right.
Everybody Wants to Be a Cat.
Yeah.
That's pretty fire. Flashing lights, different colors, just cats going crazy on the instruments. It's
breaking through.
It's
floors.
Crazy, yeah. They totally do. There's
destroy a house.
Scene where they just fall in through the floors with a piano. It's a lot of fun, and that's just kind of the word I would use to describe this movie as a whole. Fun.
All around, just a good movie. If you haven't watched it in a while, you definitely should consider watching it.
And it's got just like a nice little cute message about like this stray cat just kind of totally just jumping into the role of father. The little kittens are just so excited to have a dad now, and like it's just this really sweet message about like blended families coming together and making it work.
Way before its time too. And another thing is they really did touch on like different ways of growing up, because they live in a really rich part, and O'Malley he even says this is the low rent district, baby, and it's kind of a real raw representation of, you know, poor versus the rich, and they mingle and accept each other, and it's cute. It's got some cute morals. It's not my top 5. It's probably not my top 10 or 20, but it's fun. It's cute. I'd pop it on. You know, just a good time movie.
So let's start with the pit and the peak now.
Okay.
You want to go first with the pit?
Yeah. So my pit, like I kind of already said it, but it's just the animation. I think it's a little sloppy, but that's it really. That's my only real pit.
Real complaint of the film. Yeah, that's fair. I might go with that as well, because I was trying to think back on like things that happen, and I enjoy everything that happens, but it's just doesn't look. It's not nice to look at.
Yeah.
So I'll go with that. We'll share pits for this time.
Okay.
Yeah. Ugly animation.
I'll let you.
Yeah, that's awfully swell of you. So pits is the animation. Now the peak. What is yours?
My peak is a little. I feel like maybe corny, but I just really love Paris. and it's set there, and I just like the culture, and I like that there's real places and La Petite Cafe, just like places that actually exist in real life. And I thought that they represented it. Obviously they did represent it really well because it was such a big hit in France. It's just, yeah, it's just pretty, and I liked how they brought so much history in with like the characters' names, and it just makes me warm and fuzzy inside, and I like it a lot. And I love Lafayette when, just on a side note, when he loses his basket and he's like, my basket, and it's my favorite part.
So my peak is just going to be the dogs, Lafayette and Napoleon. I love the power struggle that they have within themselves.
They're so funny.
Napoleon he's the leader, and so anytime Lafayette comes up with something, he has to squash it and then say the exact same thing because he has to be the one who says it.
Yeah, it's funny.
So their dynamic is my favorite part.
You're not gonna believe this. It's a one-wheeled haystack.
Yeah, Napoleon and Lafayette, that is definitely the peak.
I can agree to that. I love it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and rank this thing.
Ooh, I hadn't thought of that. You go first.
Okay, I think I'm going to go...
Oof.
6 Disney Durians out of 10.
Okay, I'm going 5.
Okay.
So that is, I think, the lowest I've given him one yet.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just because, like I said before, it's not Disney gold, it's not Disney magic. It's a fun film. That's what I have for it.
It's not groundbreaking.
Does it give me chills? No. Do I cry? No. Do I, I have such emotional connection to other ones that this one is just great. Pop it in. It's a good time.
Yeah.
So it's a 5.
I think that's a completely fair ranking for it. I think that's, it deserves that. It's
totally
not bad.
Emotionally driven on that scale.
If it doesn't make me
If I don't get goosebumps 5 times, you're not getting over an 8. I'm just saying.
You know what? We have to hold Disney to a standard.
We have to have high standards because we love it so much.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the Aristocats review, and we were going to have a lot more Disney content headed your way. So, subscribe, like the video, and follow us on our Instagram.
And we've been the Disney Durans. We'll see you next time.